Good morning, students. Welcome to the channel. Feathers. This is Vijayalakshmi, your biology teacher. Today, we are going to study a very important topic, that is breathing, mechanics of breathing in just 10 minutes. Okay, let us quickly understand what and all happened during this process of breathing. Before starting the lesson, let us take breathe in, breathe out. So in the previous class, we have understood tidal volume. What is tidal volume? Amount of air taken in or given out during normal quiet breathing. So we have understood pulmonary volumes and pulmonary capacities, right? Now we will understand what is the mechanism of breathing. So when you study breathing, we are going to study not just inhaling process, we are also going to study exhaling process. There are two processes involved, right? So first, let us understand this topic with the help of a definition and their importance, right? So if you take breathing, you have to take down notes along with me. I'm going to simplify the notes so it will directly connect with the NCERT lines. So breathing, it is a very vital process, that means a very important process. So it will supply, the process of breathing will supply what is the most important requirement for the cells to undergo respiration, right? This breathing and exchange of gases is the starting steps for the cell. We are promoting the cell to undergo cellular respiration with the help of oxygen, right? So it is a very important process which will provide oxygen to the tissues. Supply oxygen to tissues. And during the breakdown of food molecules, what is happening? Toxic carbon dioxide is released out. So it has to be exhausted out of the body. How it is done? With the help of breathing. So it will remove carbon dioxide from the tissues. Right. So now we will write down the definitions of two processes involved in breathing, that is inspiration and expiration. So what is inspiration? What is happening here? So it is nothing but the process of intake of atmospheric air. So which is the gas that is rich in atmospheric air? Which is inhaled in. Generally, if you take the percentage, nitrogen is higher, but oxygen is ready to be used, available in ready to be used form. Okay. So intake of atmospheric air. That is the definition of inspiration. Now let us take, okay, let us stop here. Inspiration, which is intake of atmosphere air. So to understand how this intake of atmospheric air is happening, we have to understand a very important law. What is that? Boyle's law. You have studied about Boyle's law, right, in physics? So what do Boyle's law states? Here in the Boyle's law, we are going to study the relationship between volume and pressure. We are telling inspiration is the process by which atmospheric air is drawn into the lungs. How is it happening? Down the gradient from atmosphere to lungs, how is it happening? We need the pressure gradient. That is the very important point we have to mention here. The process of breathing is mainly dependent on the development of pressure gradient. So there should be pressure gradient between atmosphere and the lungs. Then only intake of air is possible, right? So Boyle's tells about the relationship between pressure and volume at constant temperature. So here pressure, if you are talking about pressure, if we take pulmonary pressure, we call it as intrapulmonary pressure. So this intrapulmonary pressure, it should be high or low so that air can be taken in. Down the gradient means outside pressure is higher compared to inside. So here we have to maintain negative intrapulmonary pressure. So intrapulmonary pressure is negative. Then only it is possible for the air to come inside. So how we are creating this negative intrapulmonary pressure? For that we have to increase the volume of the lungs. Lungs on their own cannot contract and relax. It is dependent on the volume of the thoracic cavity, right? So now we are going to focus on volume of thoracic cavity or chamber. So when we talk about thoracic chamber, where is this thoracic chamber located? In the chest region, right? So what and all the organs present in the thoracic region? We have lungs, heart, stomach, liver. These are what are the different important thoracic like organs? What are the important organs located in the thoracic chamber? They are lungs and heart, right? So now we need to create a negative intrapulmonary pressure, right? For that we have to increase the volume of the thoracic chamber. How it is possible? There comes the role of muscles. We call them as inspiratory because they are playing a key role in the inspiration process. So inspiratory muscles. So what are the different muscles playing a key role here? First one is diaphragm and second one is intercostal muscles. So inspiration is an active process. It is an active process. Why I am calling it as an active process? Because here contraction requires ATP, right? Contraction of inspiratory muscles, diaphragm and intercostal muscles will occur. They will undergo contraction. So when they are undergoing contraction, what is happening? In the coming slide, I will show the animation. You can clearly understand how do the contraction of diaphragm and intercostal muscles is increasing the volume of the thoracic chamber. So this diaphragm and intercostal muscles. Diaphragm is like dome-shaped muscle which is present below the lungs. It occurs like this. Because of the contraction, what is happening? The diaphragm, because of the contraction process, diaphragm is getting flattened, right? So contraction of diaphragm leads to it flattens, and when it flattens, what is happening? It is increasing the volume of the thoracic chamber. When volume of the thoracic chamber is increased, volume of the lungs also increases in like this. It flattens, increases in posterior anterior axis. So increases volume of thoracic chamber. And thereby lungs. Volume of the lungs is directly dependent on the volume of the thoracic chamber. In which axis? Anterior, posterior axis. And now coming to intercostal muscles. Coming to intercostal muscles. Now, where are they located? Between the ribs. These intercostal muscles are like this: external intercostal muscles and internal intercostal muscles. In the process of inspiration, only external intercostal muscles will play a key role. So when they are contracting, they are rising up the ribs and sternum, thereby increasing the volume of the thoracic chamber. Okay. In which axis? When they are increasing, when they are raising up, in dorsal, in ventral and dorsal axis, what is happening? Volume of the thoracic chamber is increasing. So in dorso-ventral axis. So this is how the contraction of the inspiratory muscles increases the thoracic volume. So when, as per Boyle's law, when volume is more, now volume is more, what will happen? Intrapulmonary pressure is decreasing and we have created negative intrapulmonary pressure. So air will move from atmosphere into the lungs down the gradient, right? So here air moves into lungs down the gradient from higher pressure to lower pressure, negative pressure inside the lungs. So this is how inspiration process is taking place. It is an active process. What is the passive process then? That is expiration. So in expiration is an passive process. So what is happening during expiration? Nothing. Whatever the contracted muscles, what are the muscles that are contracted during inspiration? Diaphragm and intercostal muscles, they will come back to their original position. Okay. So if we draw a diagram, so this is how the lungs are inflated during inspiration, right? Volume, we have increased the volume of the lungs. Now when the diaphragm from the contracted state, when it's come back to its original position, what is happening? So it has come to its original position. Here atmospheric air is entering the lungs, whereas here when like intercostal muscles and diaphragm come back to the original position, air, what is happening? Volume is reduced and pressure is increased as per Boyle's law. So alveolar air is released out. This process of releasing of alveolar air into the atmosphere, we call it as expiration. So this is all about today's class. We'll meet again with another interesting topic to understand in a very simple way. Thank you so much.